what they have right now. The guy said, hey, if you can get down in the range, I would much rather use you versus the post office. So he's doing
Okay.
maybe, what was it, man, like 100 a day or something like that? I think.
Yeah, Sherpels, they were doing, I think it's like 80 grand a year, and they were doing 250 exports.
So we've got some export revenue as well too that he's using FedEx for.
Okay.
So there's some decent opportunity. But he's he's hungry for some help to help expand his website, his customer base, trying to get more in online sales. That's kind of like his.
So I'm a manager of this facility, but I'm really engaged. I'm more of an above the gap guy, looking at growth and expansion. And
Yes, he's not doing the day-to-day processing, and they got somebody else, but he's the guy at the top and looking at it. Now, they've been bought by another company out in California, but they're still gonna be able to right now operate as a separate entity. So whatever he does, he wants it done for Fox specifically.
Is that why he's a manager? Was he the owner and
He
then
was
they
the owner,
sold?
or
No, he
he
wasn't, no, Dan Fox is the
Okay.
owner. Andre
Okay.
is pretty much the acting president, because Dan Fox is not there.
Okay.
So you could call him the acting CEO.
Okay, so they get bought, they tell him, no, you're fine, you keep running your business just the way you are while we watch.
Kind of. They kind of are bidding against it, and it may end up being that they go on another master agreement for that company because it's bigger, but they're
Okay.
kicking FedEx out the door because they're gonna lose their rep too for FedEx, so that already happened, so it's a long story.
So basically what has happened is that because they were got bought by some company, it sounds like they're being put onto like some type of enterprise agreement with FedEx. They're losing their local rep, but they still wanna operate separately at this point. So he's saying that right now, I'm not gonna have the support that he had before, and that's another factor that he's looking at this.
Okay, sounds good.
Hunter, how you doing today?
I'm fantastic, how are you?
Doing all right. This is Arnis. Hi, I'm Arnis.
Hey, honest, you guys look a lot alike,
I know,
that's
right?
awesome.
I know it says Art Mandalay. but-
They must clone you guys.
So I know last time we were in here, you told me the story about how there were some changes going on.
Yep.
You know, some new ownership, and you guys wanted to do your best to look good in front of them because they were looking at some different options. So I wanted to bring Arnis in and go over a few things that we thought may be pertinent to your account and may help before we finish up the price agreement. Like I said, it's gonna take a little bit longer because we're asking for some additional things we wouldn't normally ask for in an agreement.
Okay.
So, today we're just gonna go over a really short account overview. I know we did one very recently, we did a QBR, so I kept that one condensed. And then we're gonna go over a little bit, some of the pain points that you brought up last time, some of the things that you wanted to see some changes on, and then how we're gonna make those changes. And then looking forward, how we're going to improve your domestic supply chain with some services that we talked about last time, and then that's why I brought Arnis in for the second part, is for the export portion of it. And I know it's a little bit down the road, but I also included something that's going to help your company grow and to get in some new markets. And I'm gonna leave you with some literature on that, just to think about a couple of months down the road when we're ready for that one.
Okay.
So this is just a brief overview of your account. You asked me what you were doing year over year for the last few. You guys are at about, you guys are growing, and you're about 163,000 in 2018. This year, so far, you're not on track to be as high as that number because you did convert some of the business over to FedEx, and you switched some of the LTL over there as well. So this, and this is just a very small breakdown of everything. And then if you need more detail, I can provide that to you too.
Well, we're 6 months into the year, right?
Yep.
So I think I learned from one of the times this was presented to me that the top stuff on the top is year to date.
This one is all the way for, this is just 2018 year to date, because when you asked me to bring in your last 3 years, so you can see the end, so you can see what you're spending at the end of last year. Because if you add those up, those add to 163,500.
Okay, so this is just last year.
Yeah, this is 16, 17, 18, because you wanted to see a growth pattern over the last 3 years.
Okay, all right.
This is the same sort of thing, but done in a chart so you can see where your peaks are. If you guys don't, sometimes you guys have, like you guys had that summer shipment or that shipment in September that went up last year, but you guys usually stay consistent throughout the year.
Okay.
Any questions you have on this one?
No.
Some of the pain points that we found last time, you had a lot of lightweight, low priority stuff that it didn't need to get there that quickly. And you were using FedEx SmartPost for some of it, you were using USPS for some of it for ground. So we're gonna go into more detail about a service that I think is going to improve that. Shipments to Canada, you guys were doing a lot of small, lightweight shipments.
If we could, can we just jump back to the first point, because I'm trying to relate pain point to that. The sheer existence of my lightweight, low priority business is not really a pain point. I mean, it's just what I have, right?
Yeah,
So what's my pain point?
Let me rephrase that from our last conversation. It was packages getting lost, them being difficult to track, getting hit with extra charges you didn't see.
Okay, that's the pain you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, I'm with you.
And then your shipments to Canada, you pretty much, it was becoming too difficult and too time consuming and too expensive. So you stopped shipping your residential shipments to Canada for the time being, and I found a way that would alleviate all those problems.
So I can go back to my customers in Canada now?
Yes, you can. You can bring new ones on if you want to.
Okay, all right, I like that.
And we're gonna go, when I hand it over to Arnis, we're gonna go into more detail about the exports going into Southeast Asia. And
Okay.
you were having some trouble with that, especially going into some of the countries with the regulations. And we're gonna be asking a little bit more in-depth questions on this one, so we can come back to you with a more cohesive
Okay.
solution on that. And then just a brief slide on how you guys can gain additional market share and expand your business when we get everything rolling up off the ground.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of the stuff you guys are sending out now, all your lightweight packages are being sent out by the post office right now. And the last time we spoke, the biggest problem you guys had was it not being able to be tracked, it getting lost, there was a ton of claims, and the claims process is not very fun with the post office at all. So we have a service called SurePost. I know we spoke about it a couple of years ago and it didn't make sense at the time. But what this does is it takes smaller, lightweight packages that are going to residences, and we will pick them up and we will bring them to the final DC of the post office, and they'll carry the last leg of it. And at this point, we're almost up to about 40% where we're just delivering the entire weight. UPS doesn't even leave UPS's hands. And what that does is it's more cost effective. I think SurePost, we think of it as the ground residential with no residential fee, because that was also one of your biggest gripes was, hey, I'm paying $3+ on all these residential ones, these small little packages. You're sending something out. I remember one of the packages you sent it out and the product was $4, but the shipping was like $9. So this will alleviate some of that.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, you said that, it's been a while, but we talked about this a couple of years ago and it wasn't a good fit. What changed?
So the last time that we spoke about it, you guys were using bigger packaging.
Okay.
And you didn't condense it. Now, some of the changes where you're cutting down your boxes and making them smaller. And that came about partially because of the dimensional weight stuff. So at that time, it didn't make very much sense because SurePost can go up to 70 pounds you can send with this service, but really the sweet spot is from about a pound to maybe about 9 or 10 pounds. And when that 2016 dimensional weighted thing, dimensional factor, it was hitting all of those, and it was not cost effective to do it that way. So now, there's some change, now that we're able to actually do this with the SurePost, since you cut down those boxes and they're smaller.
So basically, because the cube of my boxes is smaller.
It makes more sense now to use something like this.
Okay.
Because it qualifies as lightweight.
Okay.
Do you have any questions on this slide?
No.
This is just a business, I'm gonna leave you with some literature on this too. This is just a business model of how it works.
Okay.
It goes, from UPS to the final DC, and then final DC does the last leg of it. And like I said, UPS, we're gaining more and more where UPS, it doesn't even leave their hands. And the last time you asked what the difference was between when you were using SmartPost.
Right.
And there are two differences. One, we have costs up front. When you see what the price is, that's what you'll see on the screen. You're not gonna see, you'll know, well, I'll give you a sheet that shows what every additional charge would be if there would be one. And with SmartPost, sometimes they don't put that up front. You'll see things like balloon charges. Like we looked at one of your bills a couple of years ago, and you're like, oh wow, well, I'm not actually paying $10, I was paying $17 with balloon charges, oversized, all this stuff. Another one is sometimes they'll take an extra day in transit. So say you're shipping something from here to Kankakee, it wouldn't go from here to Kankakee. It would go from here to New Berlin, Wisconsin, sit in a trailer, wait for it to get filled up, and then it comes back to Joliet. So this typically has a shorter time in transit than their service. And this is usually ground, like UPS ground plus 1 day. That's how I want to use it.
Okay, so I just want to be clear, so I'm gonna test and summarize. You said that SurePost, in many cases, has a better time in transit than SmartPost, right?
Yep, and I've tested out back when Amazon actually used to use both of those all the time, in eBay, and I would always see, and because at first I was confused with that concept and I didn't understand. So what I did was I went on eBay and I ordered something, and they had the option to choose whichever service you wanted.
Mhm.
And the tracking for the SurePost, it was like, yeah, it got to UPS, then it was tendered to the post office and came to me. It was A, B, C, and right came to me. But I noticed the SmartPost one, it went from, and this was somewhere like Kentucky. It was somewhere close. It only have to go one normal route. It went there, then it was tendered, then it went to New Berlin, Wisconsin. Then it had it waited a couple days, and then it came back. So I personally tested to see what the difference were between those two, and that's kind of how I verified that's what was going on.
Cool.
This will take care of the post office stuff.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna hand it over to Arnis.
Yeah,
Sitting
yeah.
here now. My name is Arnis. I'm the international expert. I'm here to consult on the international portion of your business, bringing things in and out of the country the most cost-efficient way, and to make sure that everything aligns with your domestic supply chain as well. And Matt identified a few things, a few opportunities that we had that we may be able to come in and assist you with some of the current exports that you guys were doing because you cut them off.
Okay.
So I want to tell you about a service. This is for, let me backtrack. So this is for your lightweight stuff that you guys were sending out of the country. The super, super lightweight, low value, inexpensive stuff. The onesies, twosies people were buying on the website.
Okay.
So a lot of times when you do that, when you're sending it through a regular service, you're sending a box that, let's say the value is, $5. Somebody's buying a Zippo. Let's say it's $10 or $15. The shipping could, by the time the shipping and the brokerage and everything goes into it, it could be closer to $20. And you've told me before, that's not worth it. Plus the time it takes to fill out a commercial invoice, and, if it's sometimes, you owe one guy when the regular guy's not here, it takes an hour to do a commercial invoice. That's an hour you're paying him. So what this does is, it's designed for your lightweight, low-value items that don't need to be there that quickly. They can, if you want, we can make that happen. And it's also makes it easy, a better experience for your customers. So what I see when I have some customers, one of their biggest complaints when they say they're going into new markets somewhere they're not English speaking is they get confused and they won't buy it because, you know, hey, you speak Polish, but, you know, it's in English, they don't know what's going on. A great thing about iParcel is it integrates into your website, one of your portals, and let's say, because you do a lot in Canada, let's say you're in Quebec, right? And a lot of people speak French there. What it will do is it will show everything in their currency, and they have a support team that offers, I don't remember how many languages off the top of my head,
Okay.
but I'm guessing it's 50 because they're around 50 because that's how many different areas we're in with this iParcel service. So it's good from a customer experience standpoint, and then when getting it into the country, it's a lot easier too, because you're not, what happens is you take everything, you consolidate it, and you send it over to a hub, and ours happens to be downstream, it's right in Addison. And instead of having your guys spend all that time creating commercial invoices and looking up the carbonized tariff codes and everything, they will do that for you. Since you're sending so much out to Canada, you send them the shipments, they'll do all the commercial invoices, they'll send everything out, and it gets out of your hands. So
Okay.
is it, and the other thing I forgot to mention too is when you put it on your portal, it will show a total landed cost. Because one of the biggest complaints that you were telling me before about Canada was when people would get their stuff, they would say, hey, wait, I didn't know I had to pay another $10 to get the package. You know, when they say, hey, something's coming to you. This will estimate right on there what the duties and taxes will be. And if it's more, of course, you don't want your customer to have to pay those. So they actually will, if there's any spillover, it will come back and get charged to your account, so they don't have to see that. So is this something that would help you get back into the Canadian market?
It's possible. I mean, there's a lot there. You know, I mean, I know it's all about simplicity. I mean, I don't know how this gets implemented, how much time we have to invest in it, what it costs. So, I mean, it seems intriguing. I'm just not sure. It seems like a lot for the, I mean, I'm trying to recall, how many Canada packages were we doing? I mean,
You guys are doing about 250 a week. So
all right, well, I mean, if I completely dumped the $250,000 worth of orders, because, and this will help me get $250,000 worth of orders back, then it's intriguing to me.
Of course, yeah, and I will say that in the beginning it is a little time consuming to get everything set up. You know, I did it with a customer a couple months ago. They had one harmonized tariff code, and you know, it took about, you know, we had to get an iParcel person involved, and you guys have something like 50 to 100 SKUs you send out there. So what I did for that customer was we put international rates in place for them in the time being so they could ship right away, because they didn't want to miss out on the customers they had that were asking for products still. And this, while this was being put in place, I know it starts off as a little bit of a lengthy process. Not so much for you guys, it's a lot of it's on our end. We just need a few product description and harmonized tariff codes. But once it's, all that work pays off, because once it's set up, it's set up. It's like building a house. Once you build the house, you're not gonna rebuild the house. So it takes a little time to set up, but it's worth it in the end.
Okay.
Do you have any questions on this?
I mean, if we got into it further, I have a lot of questions about how it gets implemented, what I'd have to do, what my investment of time in, what it costs, I mean, all that stuff, because, you know, we didn't let $250,000 worth of business go without giving it some thought. I mean,
Right.
by the time we were done doing everything, our margins were so slim and it was such a pain
Right.
that we just decided to walk away. I mean, this sounds great, but if this comes in and makes my margins damn near negative because it costs so much,
Right.
well, then $250,000 worth of business costs me money.
Well, because this is for low weight, low value items, this actually comes in at a lower cost per package. And I know, it's kind of combining the things you were looking for before, because I know you used to, you like Pitney Bowes, because Pitney Bowes did all of the commercial invoicing for you.
Mhm.
You looked at Purolator, and you liked Purolator because you liked how expensive they were. You were using DHL for a while because you liked their consolidation method, but you liked one thing from each of those different companies. And this is, iParcel is combining all the things you like from those different logistics companies, putting them into one. And as far as Costco, yes, it's going to be less. It's our less expensive service.
All right, well, I mean, when you guys have more detail, let me know.
Perfect. And this is just another model, I kind of explained it already verbally. I'm gonna send this to you too, so you can kind of see how it works.
Okay.
Manufacture it, consolidate it, put it through, they'll do the invoices for you, customers will clear it, and then it will get to the destination, and your customer, it'll be as if they're ordering it within their own country.
Okay.
Now, as far as growth goes, I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail on this, but you asked me just to give you an idea of what sort of things that we can do to help you guys get into new markets and grow your business. And this is one of the things that one of the companies that we partner with. I know you've been on the technology program before with us many times, probably, I think you guys have been on that a lot longer than I've been with the company. So same kind of thing, we help pay for this in a couple different ways. And it's basically a service that helps drive traffic to your website. It analyzes different companies that are like yours, and it finds ways that basically to grow your guys' business and increase your online presence. And we have other ones that are similar to this, but this is, and I'm gonna leave you with this as well, and a link to their website. This is just someone that we partnered with in the past, and we've used it, it's helped customers, on average, they help them grow, I think it was something like 40% in the first year. So,
Wow.
if you guys are doing $8 million in sales, potentially, let's say $10 million in sales, you guys could do an additional $4 million in sales by doing it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and what I'd like to do is after we get everything settled in, bring in the expert on this so she can talk to it in more detail and official capacity.
Okay. I mean, if you were to sum it up in a nutshell, what does it do?
What it does is it soups up your online presence, makes it easier for people to find you, and when the people do find you, it keeps them with you. You know, people go in there, they have a lot of cart bins